Is ASU football finally on the right track after some major changes at the quarterback position?
Arizona State hockey completes a victory against one of the toughest opponents in the country. We'll have the breakdown there.
And both basketball teams, what are they looking like at the start of this season? All of that and more on this edition of Cronkite Sports Live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Cronkite Sports Live. He's Ethan Tuttle. I'm Matt Venezia. Ethan, another game for Sun Devil football against a ranked opponent. I mean, Sean Aguano is getting a full scoop of this thing against these ranked teams. If Bourget can continue his Cinderella season, the Sun Devils have a chance against the Bruins. And now Kevin Malater joins us to discuss a bit more about this matchup. Kevin, this UCLA offense is averaging almost 40 points per game. What has been the key to that unit's success? Now we look at the ASU offense with Trenton Bourget, and we talked about him a little bit earlier. But with number 16 under center and some recent tight end usage from this ASU offense, how do they match up against this Bruin defense? Kevin, ASU currently sits at 3-5, and UCLA is at 12 in the CFP poll that came out a few days ago. Two teams with different end season goals in mind. Is there anything at stake between these two polar opposite teams when they come down to kickoff tomorrow night? Well, thank you so much, Kevin, for the time today and for all those last-minute notes ahead of tomorrow's kickoff on Family Weekend. This new-look ASU offense gets a chance to play upset, led by a new quarterback under center who just threw for 400 yards last weekend in Boulder. The last time an ASU quarterback did that is the subject of today's Vault. That start didn't go so well for Mike Bercovici, but his next start was the famous Hail Marys. So we'll stay tuned to see if Trenton Bourget can do some of the same against another ranked opponent from Los Angeles. If you haven't heard yet, Sun Devil hockey went to Las Vegas last weekend and took down a perennial contender in the 6th-ranked North Dakota Fighting Hawks. Our guys Ethan Tuttle and Riley Swenson are going to show us how the Sun Devils took the fight to the Fighting Hawks. ASU hockey is receiving the most votes out of all the unranked teams, and with a successful weekend against Alaska Anchorage next week at Mullet Arena, the Sun Devils might earn themselves a pretty number next to their name, which would be for the first time since 2020. The biggest piece of this success has come from the guy in between the pipes. Anthony Remedios breaks down the impact of transfer goaltender TJ Septemfelter. Women's hoops looked a little bit different from the consistent names like Charlie Turner-Thorne and Taya Hansen that Sun Devil fans are accustomed to seeing. We know that Natasha Adair has taken over for CTT, but who else will be taking the court at Desert Financial Arena? Justin Lacertosa examines the new look Sun Devils. Good stuff there with women's basketball and what to expect. So now here's the road ahead to begin the year. Some matchups with the SWAC Conference. As you see, NAU comes to Tempe on November 7th, a date with Grambling State, before the Sun Devils go to Bozeman, Montana, and then they'll see New Mexico in Albuquerque to round out the month of November. I hope you got us a tee time and complimentary range balls, Tut, because who knows? Sun Devil Golf could make it back to Grayhawk for the 3rd straight season come springtime. Another successful program with national title hopes is Sun Devil Wrestling. And with inter-squad meets taking place tonight, it's a good time to show you Jack Bartlett's feature piece on Colton Schultz. If you haven't noticed, hockey has been at the center of this week's show, and rightfully so. This team, who by the way has been a Division I school for 7 seasons now, led by a former club hockey goaltender, just took down the gold standard of college hockey in a sold-out T-Mobile Arena. This neutral site game was anything but that. With the amount of Nodak jerseys I saw walking around the strip last weekend, it almost felt like the entire population of Grand Forks, North Dakota, was inside the home of the Vegas Golden Knights last Saturday. UND, the same team that has 22 Frozen Four appearances and 8 national titles. The program Arizona State wants to be was held to just 6 shots on goal in the 3rd period by a team that isn't even a full season removed from playing its home games at a place that wouldn't even house youth hockey in North Dakota. Speaking of home games, Mullet Arena, the same brand new 5,000-seat beauty that has been in the works since Don Mullet was watching his son play club hockey at ASU a few decades back. Mullet says his son Christopher playing in Tempe is why he wanted to be the lead donor in the $32 million investment to get ASU club hockey onto the NCAA platform. The facility Sun Devil hockey has now rivaled the Bostons and Minnesotas of college hockey, so much so that Coach Powers doesn't have to feel embarrassed of showing his recruits the shoebox the team once played in. So where do we stand now? I'll call on this line from Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. The fans will fill Mullet Arena. They already have. Over the past 2 home series, student tickets have sold out just a few hours after being released. Just give the fans something to cheer for on the ice. And I know it's still early in the season this season, but with Minnesota, Boston College, and Minnesota State still to come, you have to think that that win against Nodak shouldn't be taken lightly. And as Coach Powers said, it was a benchmark win, one that could change the trajectory of this program for years to come. And that's the way it is. Moving right along to our top plays after all of that, we're going to go to the gridiron in Boulder. Trenton Bourget, first start as a Sun Devil, airs it out to Jalen Conyers. He had 3 touchdowns in the game, Ethan. Tight end involvement is improving in Tempe.
Absolutely. Fun to see the tight end starting to get involved in Jalen Conyers. So expressive out there on the field. Let's take a look at a wide receiver, though. Number 2 is for number 2, Elijah Badger. I was talking about him a bit earlier. You're going to see him break several tackles right here, as he's one of the top 10 receivers in the country according to PFF stats. Man, what an effort there by Elijah Badger.
Pretty good stuff, but number 1, we found another way to get hockey back into this show. ASU down 2-0 early on in the first period, mounted 3 unanswered goals, and this one, the biggest one of the season, by the transfer from BU, Robert Mastro Simone, and a little Fighting Hawk celebration to go along with it.
It was a crucial mistake by UND on the blue line that set up this amazing chance for Mastro Simone. You see him do a great job just protecting the puck right there, and a great bury, probably the biggest goal in Sun Devil men's hockey history. Matt, that just about wraps things up here in Studio 6. We'll go ahead and put a bow on it. Thanks once again for joining us here for Cronkite Sports Live, and a huge thank you to everyone involved in what goes into this show. For now, that's Matt Venezia. I'm Ethan Tuttle, signing off for the weekend.